Okay, this is after a few hundred miles. This much oil is collected. Hello, what's up guys? It has been a while since last time I uploaded some video in my channel. So recently I had an incident that I thought maybe it's a good idea for me to talk to you about it and share my experience. So I had a high pressure hose of my steering system had a leakage, and I had to replace it. In order to replace it, I opened the plenum, and when I opened the plenum, I was shocked by the amount of oil that was inside this plenum. So basically everything in the intake system was filled with oil. A lot of oil was there, and I checked the AOS, which is here, air oil separator, and I noticed the diaphragm of AOS was a little bit cut, and I guess that was the reason for these maybe. So anyway, I replaced that AOS completely, and even after that, I noticed that with a new AOS installed on the car, when I run the car for a while, I still see oil in the intake system. One way that you can check it easily is by removing this. It's a little bit tight, especially when you do it by one hand. Yes. So when you check here and check inside this, if there's a lot of oil there, then there's a problem. So let me explain how it works. Actually, in these cars, or in all the similar cars, some part of the gas from the burned fuel goes into the crankcase, and that's not something good because it contaminates the oil, and it makes some positive pressure there. It causes leakage here and there. So sorry, we want to take that gases out of the system, and if you just let the gas go out, it's gonna cause air pollution. So what they do is that they bring the gases from here, from the AOS, and feed it back to your intake. Okay, now that gas that is inside the crankcase has a lot of oil. Basically, it's kind of a fog made from small particles of oil, because especially with flat engines, we have lots of splashes and lots of particles. Evaporation of oil is there. So what this AOS here does is that it tries to separate oil from air. So this is my older previous AOS, and these are connected to the crankcase, and this is connected, as you see here, like this. It's connected to the intake. What it does is that when the air mixed with oil, vapor, and other stuff comes here, it goes here, and it turns around, and by turning fast, it captures the oil from air. Then it has another part, which is this one. Underneath this, there is a diaphragm, and underneath the diaphragm, there is a spring. So this side of the diaphragm is connected to outside air by this hole here. Inner side of the diaphragm is connected to your crankcase. So when there is too much negative pressure in the crankcase, these diaphragms go down, right? and covers the intake hole. By doing so, I don't know if you can see, yeah, you see that that's the diaphragm, and it closes it. When it's closed, there is less vacuum going to the crankcase and the pressure goes a little bit higher. So basically, by doing this, it regulates the vacuum pressure inside the crankcase. They say that for these cars, I'm not 100% sure, but in some places it says that it should be around like 15 inches of water, not mercury, 15 inches of water pressure, vacuum pressure in your intake. When I checked this car, which is a 987.2 base Cayman, even after installing a new AOS, this was not there. The pressure was high, it was like minus 20, not minus 16. So, and one thing that I checked was that I covered these two holes, I plugged these two holes, and I removed these. And I watched the gas that was coming out of these pipes, and it was very oily. It had a lot of oil particles. So I can say that the AOS that is designed for this car doesn't do the right job, or doesn't do its job correctly or efficiently. So even with the new AOS, I still saw some oil going into the intake system. And the air and the oil that goes into the intake system results in carbon residue in your intake system, and at some point it damages your engine and reduces your performance, because it basically at some point doesn't let the valves close completely. And especially with direct injected engines, because in directly injected systems, they inject the fuel into the cylinder. So the fuel does not go through the intake manifold. If fuel goes through the intake manifold, fuel can clean these oil residues, okay? But when the fuel goes directly into the cylinder, then there is no chance for the fuel to basically clean your intake manifold. So for these cars, it's very, very important to not let oil go into intake. So at that point, I decided to install a catch can. What is a catch can? A catch can is something like this, that basically it has input and output. So my AOS now goes into this tube and goes into the catch can, and then the air that is has much less oil in it goes here, and goes into the intake. And I drove with this catch can for like 50 miles or so, and even after doing this little drive, it collected some oil. Let me show you. You can see oil here. This is oily, and this one also has some oil in it. You see it's so even in a short trip like 50 miles, it collected some oil. So I'm gonna keep it like this and see how much oil it collects after a longer period. So I think that this is something important for the Cayman owners, especially the base engine, because I believe that the AOS does not do a good job of separating oil and air, and perhaps you also need to install a catch can to help with this. As you see, I plugged these two inputs here and there, and this is the vapor that comes out of the crankcase. So it's not very thick. I don't even know if you can see it here. definitely it's much better than what I saw before putting the touch cam.